So I got the grill off, got it cleaned up and primed. The metal on this is nowhere near perfect, and it wasn't from the factory. If you're used to working with body panels on a car, when they made these tractors, they were not concerned about perfection. And it is a tractor. And then the rusting and pitting and so forth. I had a split on both sides, which is common, right under here. And I pulled it together, welded it. And I'm going to probably clean up on this thing a little bit more before I put a final coat of paint on it. And step 2 of what I've done today is I've got the engine mounted. It was fortunate on this that there was nothing underneath in the way when I run the bolts, and I use the original engine bolts from the Tecumseh, and they are a little long, but there's nothing under there for them to hit. It's a good tight fit, and so the engine's mounted on there. I've got to get the right size belt. That one I think's the original belt on these tractors, and it is a little bit long. I've taken the ignition box off the back and taken it apart, and I'm going to wire in the original ignition if I can. I had to relocate some things. This was down at the bottom, and my clutch bracket where the spring mounts was hitting it, or almost hitting it. So I removed that, put it up out of the way, and I've got very little clearance. It's not touching, but boy, it is close. It looks like, if you're on the video, it looks like it's touching, but it's not. And so the clearance wise, it's going to be good. It's going to be a tight fit. This has about a 1/4 inch or less from where the grill mounts, and the side of the grill will be right at or almost touching this. It's okay. It fits. Let me make a comment about replacing these engines. I've never been against Tecumseh. I've said that in other videos. The problem with Tecumseh is they went out of business and you can't get parts for them. If the coil goes out on a Tecumseh, if you find it for less than $100, you found a steal. You just can't get parts for them. Now, with that said, a lot of people are purists, and they get very upset when you take the Tecumseh out and put a modern engine in it. And the way I look at it is like the old hot rods. I love old classic cars. And yeah, I like to see some restored to original condition. But I also like to see the hot rods where they put modern engines in them and make them better. And so that's the way I look at it. I'm going to make this one better. Alright, I mentioned I had some little paint chips on the frame. I touched those up before I set the engine in. And I was going to try to set the dash in, and I got the frame there. And it will be behind the dash. I'm going to touch that up. And what I'll do when I set that dash in, hopefully when I actually set it, the paint will be more cured. As this paint cures over time, it'll get harder. It'll get to where after a month or so that you won't have to worry about the scratches like you do at the beginning. But when I set this, I'm going to take a little piece of masking tape and put across there, and after I set the dash, I think I can reach in and pull it out. And that way when I slide the dash in, it won't do that. So I got that, got the transaxle back in, got the brake band on, and it's a little tight, guys, when you put that brake band on, but as it runs, it'll settle in and it'll be fine. It seems it's going to stop real good. So I'm happy with that. Now the battery tray and gas tank tray. I won't need the gas tank because the engine's got one. I will need a battery on it. Let me take you over here and show you what I've got and what I'm going to have to do. On my father-in-law's tractor, when I did his, I had a piece off of my son's tractor that we scrapped that fit perfectly in there. I think I had to drill new holes, bolted it in, set the battery in. It even had the holes for the battery things. And I don't have another one of those. I do have this piece. This is where the gas tank set, the 4 holes that bolted it in, and the gas outlet came out here. You can see the lines on here, and this is how much too wide this is going to be. So I'm going to carefully cut this and take this 1 3/4 out and then weld it back together, and underneath I'll take some of this metal that I took out and weld it in to support it. Shouldn't be much weight on there, just the battery. And the battery will sit here, and what I'm thinking about is taking some scrap metal and making me a small toolbox, something to throw some tools in to keep them in place while I'm working. If you know anything about tractors, you know that from time to time you have to do on-the-job repairs, and I always keep a few basic tools with me in my truck or my tractors wherever I am, because you never know what you'll need. So that's my plans for fixing the battery tray. It's just slightly too wide, the 1 3/4. I've got it marked. I'll take my grinder, or may take and see if I can get that cut real square with a metal bandsaw, and then weld it back together. And that's pretty good heavy metal. I do better. My welding's not great. I'm not a professional. I've never had any classes. I'm self-taught. And with the heavier metal, I tend to do better. With that real thin stuff, you got to be careful or you burn through real easy. But that ought to weld real nicely. And so get the battery tray cut and welded. I'll get it cleaned up, strip it down, and get it primed and painted. And I'm going to show you something else I plan to do and see how it works. I like my tractors to have a real tight turning radius. And on this tractor, when I put the spindles back in, see if I can turn the wheels here. It has a stop on the axle. And I'm thinking about trying to redo those. Let me get in here. Sorry for the camera work, guys. I'm going to either relocate them or remove them to see if I can't make this tractor turn just a little bit tighter. Nice tight turning radius. See how that works out for me. So, anyway, just wanted to give you an update of the progress thus far. Tractor's coming right along. I don't have a lot of time here with the holidays to do a lot at a time. I've got so much going on. Work here and there. I may work some more on it Monday. Today is Saturday. By the way, yesterday was 25 degrees high. Today they're calling for 55. And there is a breeze blowing today. One last shot, and that is my wheels. Got those painted. And I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to take a real fine grit sandpaper, go back over them, and put at least one more coat on them. I want those to be really durable. Alright, thanks for your interest in my project, and I'll keep you posted as I make progress. Have a good day.